Hey, sorry about that. Bad timing. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of R-Rated Christianity. We're just gonna jump right in. I mean, this is gonna be a juicy one. I'm fairly confident that at the end of this show or throughout the show at some point that everybody's gonna be offended. I don't think that's my intent. I don't know if I can't speak for George because it sounds like we have maybe a different angles on this one. I don't know. We saved a lot of this conversation for the show tonight, but I just know that the intent, I think as Christians, if you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, well, then you're here for just the entertainment. But if you're a Christ follower, our goal should be to have a fidelity, a loyalty to God's word and to God's character, and to make sure that we are playing for an audience of one, which is Him. Because ultimately, if we believe what we claim we believe and that we're going to someday leave this earth, we're going to stand before the architect of the universe and we're going to give an answer to Him. And the only way that we're going to have that access to Him is if we submit as Lord and accept as Lord and Savior this first century Jew named Jesus Christ, Yeshua, that translates to Joshua, translates to Jesus. Then we should act like it. We should not be playing, conforming to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by a renewed mind. Romans 12. Excuse me, guys. I stuffed a bunch of food last minute in, so give me a little bit of time. I always do that, and Davi busts my balls. Why do you do that? Because I don't want to eat at 10 o'clock at night, on Wednesdays. So sorry about that. So we're just going to walk through this. There's a lot that we're probably going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the follow-up tweet. Because he did a tweet or whatever you call him. We're probably going to get into his whatever he has going on with the Pope and what's going on there. And then we're going to analyze this theologically. We're going to talk about politics at some point because we have to, right? Because we live in this world that's over-politicized. Politics should not be a bad word for the Christian. I think the Christian movement is a political movement, not partisan, but political. What I mean by that is Matthew 28:19 says, "Go into all nations, making disciples of all men, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded." Well, the working definition of politic or politique is a set of ideas advocated by a group of people to affect the lives of others. That's what politics means in its raw form. Forget about, we're the only idiots in this world that are worried about Republican and Democrat because that's our political system. Nobody else cares about that. So, but when you look at the word political, a set of ideas advocated by a group of people to affect the lives of others. That's what politics means. Matthew 28 is a political statement in its root form, in its root definition. A set of ideas advocated by a group of people, Christians, to affect the lives of others. Go into all nations, making disciples of all men, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded. His ideas advocated by Christians to go into other nations and to affect the lives of others, teaching them to obey. That means they're going to change their life. That's a political statement. So we're going to talk about politics. From a biblical perspective, it of course it intersects with our political arena that we have to deal with. So we're going to talk about it all.
Yeah.
I know that there was a bunch of interest. Saulo said there were some comments. So I think before we get into it and George and I go back and forth and dissect, I think every one of these aspects, I hope I laid it out right. And as you guys have different opinions, chime in. But we'll talk about, this is going to be the first one we talk about. And that may be John Stewart that he's healing. But it's a joke. I heard somebody else say that. I thought that was funny. But we'll talk. Let's talk about some of these comments, and then we'll get into analyzing this picture, maybe the follow-up meme, maybe his whatever spat with the Pope, what that means, the Pope himself, and where does he stand in all this, and can he say things? Has he not said things about other stuff? And look, I'm gonna constructively criticize the Pope. I am. George can do whatever he wants. Saulo can do what he wants, but I'm going to. And then I'm probably going to support him at a point because I'm not trying to play to any side. We're pursuing truth, and God is the definition of truth. And we're going to look at that from his lens. Okay, Deborah, what actually happened? This image AI generated had been circulating online previously from somebody else. I agree with that. Trump posted it on his Truth Social account. But it had been altered because the top part of it wasn't the original part of it, right? So that the apocalypse part at the top was altered, but that's true. Trump posted it on his Truth Social account, April 12th, 26, Orthodox Easter. The picture depicted him in white robes and red sash, glowing hands, and a healing a sick man. Imagery strongly associated with depictions of Jesus, agree. After criticism from conservatives, pastors, and Christian influencers, the post was deleted. which was rare, but yes, that's true. When asked, Trump said, I did post it. I thought it was me as a doctor. Only the fake news could come up. Well, she's right. That's the synopsis of it. Mm-hmm. Alamo Talk. Hey, buddy. Satan is deceptive, and those who follow him are equally deceptive. For Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light, 2 Corinthians 11:14. This means he disguises himself as someone noble, trustworthy, with the intention to deceive people. As you can see, the Bible warns us the false prophets in a world full of Donald Trumps. Be a James Tallarico.
And then he ends by saying, basically, forget everything I just said. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, buddy, Alamo Talk. Why would you end off with James Tallarico?
Okay, got it.
Golly, brother. Come on, daddy.
Might as well say psych. Okay.
Yeah. I want to throw up. What are we watching? I voted for the man 3 times, but this is over the top. Even the elect state will be fooled. Is this us? Cliff, thank you. Anybody else? Let me see. Chris Moore. I take full responsibility. I emailed the White House asking if Trump could trigger a bunch of thin-skinned people. I don't know about that one, Chris. I think it's funny. The left calls him every name in the book, so why not use it to his disadvantage and have fun? The left still hasn't figured out that Trump thrives on all publicity, good, bad, or worse. I mean, Eric. Okay, we'll start here. Not by the definition of blasphemy. Sacrilegious, maybe. We believe it is meant to be offensive. Okay, that's good, Lisa. I think all good comments. Look, let's just dive into this. Look, I don't think he believes all attention is good because he deleted the post. I think if he did do this intentional, it's backfired. I mean, it has gone viral. I mean, even outlets that don't normally get views are getting views because they're talking about this. And then you're having Christian influencers and just people of faith criticize it. So I guess the 2 things are to dissect. Is it blasphemous by the definition of what blasphemy is? And then number 2 is what did he mean by it? And is it sacrilegious or is it wrong or is it understandable why Christians are offended? Let's start there. I mean, I can give you the definition of blasphemy. You know it, George. We'll talk about it. But blasphemy is the act of showing disrespect, contempt, or insult towards something considered sacred, especially in a religious sense. So under that definition, and I want to hear what you're going to say about blasphemy, I think you could argue that it's blasphemous if he's being disrespectful. Now, I think the counter argument is, well, was he trying to be disrespectful? I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the man's mind, but I'll tell you. Well, I'll let it play out more. I'll give my opinions after. But George, let's talk about the definition of blasphemy first.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go to a New Testament framing of the term blasphemia, that's not blasphemy.
Okay,
because behind it is the spirit of contempt and the notion that Trump has contempt for Christianity when objectively. And since we always say, and I'm not going to separate political from Christianity because I don't want to be inconsistent. We always say, hey, I mean, if you're a true Christian, your worldview is going to find its way into your politics. So I'm not going to sit here and part and parcel and say, this is a political statement, this is an R-rated Christianity theological statement. I'm just going to say it because I think there's consistency between my politics, I believe, and my claim to be a follower of Christ. So I'm not going to part and parcel that. I guess I say that because anyone who objectively looks at what this president has done in Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0, I can't think, and if anyone can, please speak out. I can't think of a single president in my lifetime whose policies have more aggressively pursued the protection of the Christian's voice in American society. Can't think of it. So he's done that with policy, and I just want to be clear about this. Trump is not a religious person. I don't believe he's a Christian.
I don't believe
he's a saved person.
I agree.
I don't.
I agree with that.
I don't believe this is a man who's surrendered himself to the lordship of Jesus Christ.
I agree with that.
Okay, so I just want to be clear about that, and we could spend 2 hours on that.
Yeah.
However, you don't have to be a saved person to acknowledge that Christianity is a vital philosophical and cultural force in the history of the country. And it's a preserving agent, really. And that this is a Judeo-Christian, or has been traditionally a Judeo-Christian culture, which has really been buttressed by Judeo-Christian philosophy. And that's permeated throughout our common law. Okay, Trump sees the value of that.
Well, I think Trump is a cultural Christian, right? Richard Hawkins is a cultural Christian, right? Someone that believes in Christian ethic to run the culture because he believes that Christian ideas and principles will benefit the most people. So that's
But interesting you bring that up, because I wouldn't put, in that sense, yes, I think he'd be a Richard Dawkins. But Richard Dawkins quickly
Did I
departs
say
from
Hawkins? I meant Dawkins. I'm sorry.
Dawkins quickly, he's the former professor emeritus of Oxford University, biology. And we spent a lot of time on Dawkins and his evolutionary views in other settings. But Dawkins is a bit of a blasphemer. I mean, he does have contempt, or has expressed contempt for Christianity, until he realized that, oops, I actually have less contempt for Christianity than I do for Islam.
Right.
So, but Trump doesn't express contempt. Trump is an avid defender of Christianity's role in American culture. And he doesn't think it's incidental. He doesn't think it's coincidental. He thinks it's vital.
So where do we get that definition? Because if you look it up in any way of looking it up, it lumps in contempt, which is more intentional. So if you look at the penal code, intentionally, knowingly, reckless, criminal negligence, there's different mens rea. You know, I always talk about mens rea, your intent. And if you put disrespect into that, I mean, is this disrespectful? I want to know where the definition of blasphemy is biblically.
I think it's understandable that somebody would take it that way. I do. And when you say it's disrespectful, I mean, you got to consider the beholder. Did you
think the Olympics where they I mean, because I heard a lot of Christians lose their shit over the Olympics, where they had the heavy chick and their the Last Supper and all this other, and so people really, now I think you're going to make the distinction that was contemptuous, that was, they did it intentionally to get. We don't know that for sure. They were being creative. They were being creative. He's saying he's a doctor. We'll get there in a second. And so
I know it sounds absurd, and I do, but I mean, I'm trying to.
What sounds absurd? What
he
say?
said.
Oh, what he said.
And I think in the context in which he meant, I don't think it is absurd. And
Hold on, what's not absurd?
The fact that he said that he saw it as being a person who was sort of ministering to, I won't even use that word.
Just say what he said. He said he's a doctor, a Red Cross doctor.
What I'm saying is that I do believe what he said. He explained it. Now, I don't think it's an excuse.
You believe him?
I do, but let me explain.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Go on. I'm sorry.
I
have Tourette's. I'm sorry.
You can,
go ahead.
Fine, go ahead, and that's fine. But but let me explain why.
Okay.
So I just spent 5 minutes explaining that this man's clueless when it comes to religious ideas.
Still? You're still okay with that? He's still clueless.
I don't think he's excused by that. I'm just saying I'm just simply declaring things as they are, not as I wish them to be.
You can't say you're clueless to. So
hold on. He's getting advice from Paula White.
Oh, she's an idiot.
Who compares him to Christ. So in his view, I mean, she's drawing analogies, which is an absurdity. You should never do that. So all I'm saying is he's not really getting the best counsel. And I'm not saying that there's that he should have this gross lack of self-awareness. I don't think that's acceptable. But it makes sense for him to say, look, I mean, I do see myself, because he explained it. I saw myself as a doctor, sort of addressing the ills of the country. I've done a lot of good for people. I mean, you could tell. And when he said, what? Where did he get that? No presence of mind. Mike Johnson said he called him and said, Mr. President, let me explain to you, from my viewpoint as a Christian, how this could be seen in a way, as an expression of sacrilege. And so,
don't assume everybody knows what sacrilege is. Explain what that is really quickly, and then we'll get back to your analysis.
Well, sacrilege is not really about contempt. I mean, you can use it that way, but it's just a misuse of something that's consecrated.
I'm glad you made that distinction.
Yeah, a misuse.
Blasphemy and sacrilegious are two different things.
And so I definitely not, from a biblical perspective, I would never put this in a blasphemy camp, at least not in the way in the New Testament uses the term. I mean, Paul called himself a blasphemer, but when he describes in 1 Timothy 1:13-14 as a former blasphemer, he was actually slaying Christians in the name of God. So it's a gross misuse.
Right.
I mean,
using God's name to sin.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And
like Tallarico, Alamo Talk, using God's name to promote abortion, or same-sex marriage, or anything that God doesn't endorse.
Right.
Right? And that would be blaspheming. So Tallarico is a blasphemer.
Right. And in assigning somehow God's okay to it.
Right.
That's a problem.
I agree. Okay, we're on the same page.
So I think what I'm saying is this. Trump isn't literate in these matters, and he doesn't care to be. Trump believes politically. He's a pragmatist. He believes that Christianity is not just important, but absolutely vital. He believes it's a vital sustaining force to American culture and the traditional, and he's not wrong. And so from that standpoint, and I would ask rhetorically, isn't that sufficient for the man to fight arduously for Christianity? I would argue yes. If you really believe that something is vital, a strong economy, he believes it's vital to the future of the country. He fights like a dog to maintain
So what do you think?
economic integrity.
So if you were the judge,
Yeah.
you're making an assessment. So give me your overall assessment of this.
Yeah,
post.
I do think that it's
Classify it.
I do
It's
think
sacrilegious.
definitely not blasphemous, but I do think, as Mike Johnson said, when he called Trump to explain it to him, Trump took it down. And so the point is, first of all, again,
then why not apologize for it? Because he's haughty.
oh yeah, I mean, I guess
Haughty means
Yeah, yeah.
that you're so
No,
prideful.
that's right.
Because he is
right.
haughty. I mean, in Proverbs 6:16, God hates.
I would
haughty.
agree with that.
So God obviously hates a haughty person, hates that behavior.
Yeah.
And Trump is absolutely haughty.
Yeah.
He did never
I
apologize.
would argue that. Yeah.
But he's also lying. There's no way he thought he was a Red Cross doctor.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Brother, George, I mean, you're the only person that believes that.
Can you be deluded and lying? So
Can you be what? I want to answer that question. Ask me the question again.
I think it's
So Paula White, this crazy bitch. I'm sorry, she just is a crazy bitch. That's his advisor.
well, it's
which
out
is
there.
well, I mean, she is. I mean, she's on her fourth husband. They watch porn together. I mean, she's an idiot. She thinks people should look at Trump as a Messiah. I don't know who the hell she thinks she represents, but it's not Yeshua. It's not the God of the Bible. So I'm just going to say that. I don't care who that offends, because she's a crazy bitch. So it's his fault that he chose her. Nobody else did.
But why?
So,
Why did he choose
okay,
Paula
but
White?
and people need to hear that. I get that. She was his first, right? His first when it comes to spiritual leaders, and she was an idiot back then too. But so he's getting crappy advice from her.
Yeah.
But then just say, look, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't intend it that way. But he's a Red Cross doctor. Doctors don't touch your forehead. They give you a thermometer. And they don't have glowing hands. And they don't wear robes. And Red Cross people don't even wear that garb.
I think you heard me say that I would agree. I don't think it's an.
But he's a liar now. That's my problem. He's lying.
No, hold on a second.
Well,
No,
I mean, they all lie. But I mean, man, I'm disappointed because I voted for him. You know that. And look, I'm still supporting him. I support his policies. I want him to succeed.
and on that basis, if it happened again, I voted for him twice, and if it happened again, I'd vote for him again.
I wouldn't if Rubio was running.
Well,
but yes,
that's changing the calculus. I wouldn't either. But I'm saying if Trump was running today
Right.
in the same set of circumstances, I'd vote
But
for him
I'm
again.
just-
Now, why
I'm-
is that?
I'm just saying that the outrage is real and it's legit.
Well, let me back up and
Okay,
just
go ahead.
really, and maybe piss you off in the process.
please
Maybe
do
everybody
that.
else who's
Try-
listening.
try.
I don't care about this at all. I think this is totally irrelevant and immaterial. And I think it's gross that Christians have their panties in a wad over this shit. We got serious problems in this country, big problems, where real people are getting truly devastated in many ways. Okay, by a party and a half, and I'm not absolving Republicans. A party and a half who doesn't give a shit about the well-being of the average American, from the soul on down. Serious problems. And say what you want about Trump, objectively, pragmatically. From a policy perspective, the man's doing everything that he can to right the ship. And so I care about policy, which I know you don't really want to wade into it. I want to be respectful to that.
No, I know, but that's
But
not that
I care about policy.
Okay, let me give you some analogy then. I think I don't know, brother. I don't think that's the right way to approach defending our faith. And I think you can do two things at one time. You can be offended for him being disrespectful and flippant about something that's supposed to be sacred to us, and our Messiah, our Savior. It's not like he was making fun of, Saint so and so. It's Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's make it.
But he wasn't.
Let me give you a personal example. So I don't know what sacrilege. How can I compare sacrilegious to God to people? Disrespect, is that a way to say it? If someone's
Because people aren't consecrated in the sense
but
that
that's what I'm saying. Give me an analogy. Give me some way some comparable. Because I'll tell you this: if somebody was flippantly disrespectful to my wife or my daughter, I wouldn't say I don't care about this. You wouldn't either, George. No, and you should. And my humble opinion, we as Christians should care about how people think and talk and treat Jesus, and I know it's crazy, even more importantly than our wives and our children.
I know, but ours is not an honor religion. I'm not a Muslim.
What do you mean it's not an honor
and
religion?
So I don't flip out.
What do you mean by that?
What I'm saying, ours is not, I'm not here to fight for the honor of Christ. I'm here to fight for the gospel of Christ. This is not an honor religion.
But if you don't honor Christ,
I know,
no one's
I
gonna
know where
follow
you're
his
going with
gospel.
this. Listen,
Well, no, but they go hand in hand, Dad.
not because of the way you're looking at it, but an honor religion has something very specific attached to it. Like what happened in France with the Charlie Hebdo murders, because somebody at Charlie Hebdo magazine drew a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad, and Muslims went absolutely
of course they did.
apeshit and began to slaughter people. Okay, that's an honor religion to protect or preserve the honor of Muhammad. Okay, so why don't we do that? Because that's an honor religion. It's bastardization of what honor actually is, which is to what? Honor is to be somebody who embodies the Beatitudes.
So we're not
the fruit
supposed
of the
to
Spirit.
honor. We're not supposed to honor God.
What I'm saying is that I don't. Do I fight for Christ's honor? I mean, I fight for Christ's gospel. I fight for.
I don't think. How are they not inseparable? If you don't,
it isn't.
How would why would anybody follow a gospel that you don't honor? There's just no way, George. There's no way. I really think you're working hard to try to defend.
I
My
think,
humble opinion, that I'm just saying. I would not. I would never follow. I wouldn't even listen to someone that I don't honor. I mean, but follow them and change your life and die. Do you think that the disciples all allowed themselves to be martyred because they didn't honor God? I mean, I don't understand that. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean by.
No, what I'm saying is I'm called to honor him, but I am not going to get into a dispute because you're dishonoring him. Okay, that's not my job. And so I'm not going to.
Calling it out is not trying to get in a dispute. You call it out. And so, like, Riley Gaines called him out.
Okay, and so what?
And then he says he's not a fan of hers. I guess. I mean,
I don't know why he would look.
Because he's a fucking idiot. That's why. I mean, that's hard. There's no other way to say that. He just is. He's just an idiot. And here's the weird thing is that I still support him because I believe in the policies. But as a person, he's an idiot.
Okay, and I guess
I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know if there's a Bible somewhere,
but I'm not attaching value to this. So I'm not attaching value to the. I don't see contempt. There's no malice there. I don't even see dishonoring. I don't think he's trying to dishonor Christ. I don't. I'm sorry. It just.
Can you dishonor someone without intent? Can you recklessly or
I think
negligently?
you're getting into sacrilege here. You can misuse
but that's
something
still
that is
dishonor.
intended.
It still dishonors them, right? If you're committing sacrilegious behavior, you're dishonoring somebody. Disrespecting someone is not honoring
okay,
them.
now you're outside. So this is why you and I spend so much time on part and parceling words, because we want to make sure we don't get into a debate. The reason we do this, make sure you're not getting into debate over two totally different definitions of the same term. So that's why we're spending time, make sure we're on the same page about what we're calling a term. Otherwise, we'll just piss away time. And Paul admonishes Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 2, do not get involved in stupid arguments that lead nowhere. Yeah. And one of the ways we avoid that is making sure we're calling something the same way. And so what I'm saying is that I don't believe that Trump intended to dishonor God. I don't think he intended that at all.
I don't.
But you're right.
I agree.
You can be sacrilegious.
You can recklessly or negligently dishonor something, and that's what he did.
That's right. So we spend about 2 minutes on that, and let's move on and be people of priority, because if you don't, you are, in my view, your moral credibility is at stake. And for Christians to get tightly wound over this, really, and to follow the culture on this nonsense, I think you lose moral credibility. When we ought to be shining the light on
George,
true
that's
dishonor.
That's a big statement.
But,
so everybody that's pissed off has lost moral credibility.
Look, I'm just giving you my opinion.
I understand that. That's what I said to you.
I worry about that with myself too. I'm not upset.
Hold on. How would everybody that's upset about this lose more? What does that mean?
And that's not what I said. That's not what I'm saying is I said 2 minutes. I don't think we should not talk about it. I don't think we should observe it. I don't think we should declare our thoughts on it and be thoughtful. I don't, which is why I don't think Trump should come out at everybody.
But whose fault is it that we're still talking about this?
Are you kidding me? This is all the media focused on, and Christians did the work of the media. All of this outrage and these accusations of blasphemy, and people. I love how these tough Christian people and with Christian platforms get out there and repudiate Trump. And I feel like saying, what were you when there was no more actually legitimate dishonoring of Christ in the age of Biden, for instance? Where were you when Christians were being targeted?
That's legit, but that
where was the Pope when?
Well, let's talk about that.
Where was the Pope when in January 40,000 Iranians were slaughtered by Iran? Where was he? Because he just said that he's really concerned about how there's lots of people suffering in the world. And yes, I'm pretty much quoting him. And he's concerned about innocent people getting killed all over the world. Not a damn thing from this Pope when 40,000 Iranians were slaughtered in January. Not one thing from a cardinal, not one thing from the bishops, nothing. And then he shows up to tell Trump that he's concerned. Well, no, this is the same thing.
No, I understand, but
this is the same thing.
Go on, I'll let you finish.
And then he repudiates Trump and says that it's unacceptable to a wartime president involved in a conflict against a terrorist regime. He says it's unacceptable because Trump said a whole civilization is going to end tonight. Fails to take into context anything that Trump said and why he's doing it. Trump has expressed his objectives as well as Rubio. This nation has been very clear about what we're doing there. Okay? It totally dismisses 47 years of history of terrorism, not just against its own citizens, but against its neighbors and against the United States. This Pope has lost moral credibility. He has no moral credibility. And if he thinks this is going to help him with Catholics in the United States, who already traditionally don't have a whole lot of respect for the papacy, then good luck with that. That's what I mean by moral credibility. And I think we risk doing the same thing by getting our panties in a wad over this for more than exactly 2 minutes.
I think you're unintentionally being condescending to people about this. Because I know your heart. That's why I say unintentionally. No, I'm just being honest with you, George. I mean,
look,
because you're saying this irritated me. You know that, because I texted you on this, right?
But not for the reasons.
No,
not for the reasons
I know that.
people
well, we can
okay,
talk about
right.
that. I get all that.
That's a different issue.
And I think two things can be true at the same time. I think it's appropriate to call out the Pope, and I was going to anyway. So you went there first, and that's great. And other people, where was your outrage for the Christians being slaughtered in Africa?
And still being slaughtered in Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Yeah. I don't remember any of this outrage.
Nothing.
Or the Pope can't criticize any Islamic terrorism. I've never heard him do it. But so that's fine. But that doesn't mean, but I like to compartmentalize things, because to me that's a whataboutism, right? Well, what about this? You didn't do this. Or you think I'm drinking a shit ton. Look at Fulano. He drinks way more than me. Well, you still drink a lot. I'll talk about Fulano later. You understand my point? So I think we compartmentalize this one, and we still criticize people, because I agree. Where was the outrage on some of, and there's a lot of Christian leaders and church leaders, they were outraged about the Christian slaughter in Nigeria and Africa and all this other stuff. So they're not in the same. The Pope is a whole different animal. I agree. But I think this could have been handled way differently. I think we're talking about this because of the way Trump handled it.
But we fail to see, and look, I know you said, I'm not trying to be condescending. You're right. I'm not trying to be condescending.
Because I know your heart. I know that.
But sometimes it just comes really easy.
Well, and you're very good at it too. You look at very. I'm not just telling you, guy. You're very good at it. You get the PhD and all the other shit too, but you're getting condescending. You're good. But
I don't see the moral equivalency. And you and I have had private conversations where I'm literally coming undone, because I think this is a mockery of our call to be able to call true balls and true strikes, and to sort of lump everything together as if it's the whole, all sins are the same. And this is our outrage culture. Okay, we think with our balls, we don't think with our brains. And so your criticism had actually nothing to do with why I'm condescending. Your criticism was, we can't afford to lose the midterms because this country's on the precipice of a dark age if we do. That's your political assessment. I would agree.
But
the president of the United States,
I mean, it was stupid. It was irresponsible.
Has weighed in a politically stupid manner, an unthinking manner, without considering his audience, and even politically considering a lot of Catholics, for instance, voted for him. And I'm thinking about the discourse he's had with the Pope, not so friendly discourse.
I just think all
and
of
so
it's
you're just saying
handled
this is bad. It's just not wise, right? And so I understand that assessment. I feel the same way. But that's not the tone and tempo the Christians are taking on social media. Alleged Christians, that it's blasphemy, and they're so offended for God. God went to sleep on this after about 4 seconds, okay? And then he's focusing, because he's focusing on children. He's focusing, and Jesus said that there are actually greater sins than others. there are situations right now in this country where there's true injustice.
But
right?
but Jesus,
we not
but
focus
Jesus-
on those things.
But Jesus can chew gum and walk at the same time, right? I mean, so you can have different offenses. I'm just not going to harp on this one. Like, would I have harped on this if it wasn't such a stupid political move and if it wasn't disrespectful? I think it's disrespectful at the very least. And whether it's intentional or not, like when I said you're unintentionally condescending, but that's I mean it's. Whether he intended, I don't think he meant contempt. I don't think he was trying to say.
And I'm fine with the word
Christian.
disrespectful. I think that's totally acceptable used in the context of sacrilege.
Last time I checked, you and me and all of us get upset when people are disrespectful.
Yes.
Okay, so now the reason why I think it's snowballed is because of the way he's horribly handled this. You don't say like, only the fake news could they make this up. No, because many of your Riley Gaines is not the fake news. Many people, I mean, and then his response is, "Oh, I'm not a fan." You sure were a hell of a fan when she was at the White House. When you're propping her up, when you're taking all your accolades from her because he's haughty, because he violates what God hates as haughty.
I don't think an appropriate response is to assault everybody's IQ like he does. Low IQ.
I know,
Everybody
but
has
my
low
point
IQ.
is,
right.
my point is, but that fans the fervor.
I agree.
And so to try, and I'm not saying maybe you are trying to try to absolve him because we have bigger problems.
I'm not.
No, hold on, but we do have bigger problems out there.
do.
I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's part of the frustration as a Christian who wants the Christian ethos to prevail in our country because we historically have a Judeo-Christian foundation. I don't give a shit what anybody says. We can debate it, and you'd have to be just eyes closed and ears shut to miss it. You don't have to believe it, but I'm just telling you, our founding fathers wanted that set of ideas and principles to put.
So let me just push on that a little bit because you brought up Riley Gaines. Let me just push a little bit. So this is what she uses her So Riley,
Did you see what you do,
no, let
George?
me finish.
Brother,
no. This is
she's
about
bold,
going into
guy.
stupid argument. Bold?
She's not bold.
Let me finish.
Okay. Well, you cut me off, but go ahead. Go ahead. No, go. Now you open up this can of worms.
I'm saying that's great. She because bold is half the analysis here. I'm glad she's bold, but how about a little wisdom? Do you really? What is to be gained?
So you want everybody to be wise, but this guy. You want everybody to be wise, but him. Why don't you tell him to be wise?
The admonishment to Timothy is to know your audience and to avoid going down some rabbit trail that will lead to nothing.
So she can't make any criticism.
All I'm saying is keep your powder dry. This is what you're going to weigh in on. What are the chances that Donald Trump's going to say, "Oh my goodness, I'm totally wrong about this"?
So you want her to be a fake ass like everybody else, like him and everybody else, and not say anything?
No, what I'm saying is...
Did you read her? Hold on. Did you read her? She didn't do a full-throated... She said, "I still support the man, and I love him." That's what her comment was. All she said was it was disrespectful. She didn't understand it. You can't. So your position is, George. Think about this. What you're saying. No one can say anything.
No, I didn't.
To Saint Donald. We can't say anything.
No, I didn't say no one can.
Well,
I said I don't. I said.
But you're saying keep your powder dry.
That's right.
For what? For when do you think she?
I don't know.
When should she do it?
She's had a fantastic run of calling out trans nonsense.
I agree.
Right? Okay. Well, that battle's not over yet.
She has no credibility, so she can't make any comments but that.
I didn't say she can't. I didn't say she can't. Now hold on a second.
Okay.
I didn't say she can't do that. I'm saying there's a lot of things that Trump says that this is. Are you kidding me? This guy is. I mean, he's like a slot machine with this stuff. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, it never ends. This is really. You don't know that Trump is going to be. Isn't going to accept this. He's going to mock it. I mean, really?
What are you talking? So what's your point?
My point is, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on true priorities. So you're going to decoy, you're going to detour your platform on this bullshit.
How is she detouring? So she can't. So what's her platform? What platform have you designated her for? She only talks about trans shit. That's it.
I'm not defending Trump. All I'm saying is,
but it sounds like you are.
No,
brother.
what I'm saying is, I'm not. But I know who I'm dealing with, and so I'm not. So I'm going to goad the man. I'm going to poke the bear over this bullshit. Are you kidding me?
Wait, hold on. So correction is poking because he sets the standard. So he gets to decide the moral compass and what you can poke and not poke.
I don't
and
see.
So anybody that criticizes him is poking the bear.
Correction.
No, is that what you're saying? Because last time I checked, in 2 Timothy 4, hold on, listen, George, let me finish, please. In season and out of season, Paul told us this: correct, encourage, and rebuke. Now, with great patience and careful instruction.
Right.
So if somebody with patience and instruction says, "I think this is disrespectful and it's not helpful, and I don't understand why he did it," That's poking the bear?
Yeah, it is. Here's why. Because
So is Paul wrong? What's correct, encourage, and rebuke?
no, I'm saying your translation of what Paul's saying doesn't apply here.
Why?
Because I don't think going out on social media, okay, and mocking
Does it say that in the passage?
to a guy that's going to take it as mockery. All I'm saying is with great patience, how about some discretion? How about that?
How about she's a Christian, and if she doesn't, she's going to lose credibility with the audience and say, hey, bitch, you didn't criticize old Donnie Boy when he criticized it, so don't criticize me. And so if she doesn't criticize Pastor Donald, then she's going to lose credibility in her past. Have you thought of that? Because what do I criticize all the time? Oh, and you just did it to the Pope, and you just did it to everybody else. Oh, where were you when this
That's
happened?
right. I did it to the Pope.
Okay, hold on.
I did it because he ought to know better.
Well, George, then I'm going to push back on your own logic.
Okay.
Then how can Riley Gaines keep her mouth shut? She's criticizing everybody else from a biblical lens, and she's not going to say anything to him?
Over this. She's
Yes,
gonna
over this.
She's going to call him out for being this and being... For what? What do you think?
What
does
did
he
she
think?
call him? Did you get her
gonna-
post up?
all
Get her
it-
post up.
Here's what's
It wasn't a
happening.
bad post.
Here's the deal. Donald Trump is immature. He's immature. Okay? He's clueless when it comes to these matters. And if you don't know that, and this is the hill you're going to die on,
Who said they're going to die on this hill? How is criticizing someone the hill
you're
going
going out on social media
So what?
so you can say, look
So
at
only
me.
he can
I'm
do
really
it.
upset.
So only he can do
Whatever,
it.
man.
Only he can do it.
No. Only he
I don't understand it, George.
No, I'm not.
Think about
You
the
keep
message you're
using the
sending.
word "can." Just because I can doesn't
Okay,
mean
well,
I should.
Well, what
and all I'm
is
saying, it
you're-
wasn't particularly restrained
you're
or
criticizing
patient.
everybody else for the same shit that
I'm
he's
criticizing Christians who know better. Donald Trump is not a Christian. I don't go and criticize Donald Trump, who is
Okay.
not a Christian, on a Christian
Here's
basis. I
the
don't
question.
do that. I criticize the Pope because he ought to know better.
Okay.
I criticize Araujo because I ought to know better. Or you, or
Okay.
Salo. Okay, to whom much is given, much is required. I said up front,
doing.
right
President
up
of the
front.
United States is a lot given.
Right up.
And you got
that
a lot of
doesn't-
Christians that supported your
Brother,
ass.
I said right up front, and maybe you thought I was just throw away, but I'm going to say it again. Donald Trump is clueless as a fart in the wind. I don't think it's
you always say that. And you always say that about him. He's the president of the fucking United States.
I don't always say that.
Yes, you do.
I take issue with that.
George,
It's just,
okay, let me ask you this, Beth. Let
completely
me ask you
false.
this. Let me ask you this. Imagine this, dude. Imagine this was weekend at Bernie Biden. You wouldn't take the same position. You would not, George, and don't tell anybody. Please don't say you would.
Of
You
course
would
I
not.
wouldn't. Because you know why?
Because
Brother,
he's a great
you jump
Catholic.
around- you're-
No, I'm not.
No,
George.
hold on
I'm
a
trying to
second.
look for consistency.
Hold on a second. Joe
that was
Biden called himself a devout Catholic.
And so what?
Donald Trump doesn't even know what that means.
But brother, who gives a shit?
Okay, see, this is where I think
No,
you're,
George,
you're
I
missing
don't
a very
understand your
important point.
application.
Oh,
of
my
things.
goodness.
All I'm saying is, who cares what Biden says?
Oh, my
Do you
goodness.
think he's a devout Catholic?
I don't understand why the pig and blasphemed.
Do you
I guess it's-
do you think Biden was a devout Catholic?
No, I'm saying.
Answer
No,
the
I
question.
don't think he was a devout
Okay,
Catholic.
So who cares what he says? If that was Biden, you'd be upset. I don't know. What are we doing here? Why? Seriously, I can't understand why he'd post this. Is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? Either way, two things are true. A little humility would serve him well, and God shall not be mocked.
God
What's
shall
wrong
not-
with that?
Because he's not mocking. That's why. That's patently false, and she ought to know that. And I take issue with
Okay,
that.
define mocking.
Oh, well, it's how we framed. But if you're mocking God, so he's mocking Christ.
Do you know that he's not?
Oh my goodness!
But
yeah,
George, I mean,
I have in a court of law, it would be overwhelming amount of evidence. This man trips over himself. Again, policy matters. Just like what I say about racism, we're in that same conversation, same analogy. You can argue that somebody is the most horrible racist in the world, and you look at his track record, and he does nothing but step up and fight for those who are truly downtrodden. He's got a record, a mile high and a mile deep, of fighting for those who are truly marginalized. Okay, but down deep inside, he's racist. Do you really care? You might care for his soul, but you don't care that
he thinks he's a savior figure, a Messiah figure. Is that mocking Christ?
I believe
Is that mocking Christ? If somebody portrays themselves
Yes.
as a messianic figure, is that mocking Christ?
If
the true Messiah, the only Messiah, is that mocking Christ?
If Donald Trump thinks that if Donald Trump believed for a moment that he was Jesus in this, I think yes. Do I believe that he thought that?
Do I
no.
think he thinks he's Jesus? No.
Well, you just said Christ.
Oh,
Right?
I
So
said Messiah. If somebody represents themselves as a messianic figure, is that in a sense mocking the true Messiah?
Donald Trump wasn't trying to mock
How do you
Christ.
know? You say you have evidence.
So Donald Trump responded to the question that a reporter asked him. He actually elaborated on it, and you can tell. You of all people can tell when somebody's bullshitting. You can tell when he's responding. He's like, where did he get that? I mean, that literally came from him. He didn't have to stop in. Where did he get that? Only the fake news media. He talk about tone deaf in these matters.
George.
He's tone deaf. And then
So,
he goes on and he goes,
okay, but
I thought I was a doctor. I mean, look at
No,
what I'm doing.
that's exactly right. So when you talk about someone giving an honest answer and they say they're a Red Cross doctor, you lose the honesty with me. In a court of law, a jury would have laughed at it. You ask anybody. I wish there was a poll. You're great at these polls. If one person believed that he thought by posting this thing that he was representing a Red Cross, I have oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. There's no way. There's no way that this dude actually, I don't care how tone deaf he is. I don't care how whatever slot machine shit you call him. There's no way he thought he was a Red Cross doctor, George.
We're going to have to call up Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, and tell him that he's lying when he said he had a conversation with Trump and he didn't know. He says he didn't. He had no idea that this could be considered sacrilege. And I explained it to him and he took it down.
Did Mike Johnson say, he's like, you know what he said? President Trump told me he thought he was a Red Cross doctor. He didn't say that. He just said, Mike, I thought I was representing myself as a Red Cross doctor. He didn't say that, George. That's consistency. When you look at, since we're talking about a court of law and people's consistency, and when you look for credibility and veracity, you look for consistency or inconsistency. Prior inconsistent statement is you can do a hearsay objection to it.
And where did you get the notion? Where did you get the notion that he didn't say that to Mike Johnson?
Did Mike Johnson say
Mike
he said
Johnson
that?
simply said it wasn't a comprehensive breakdown of transcript.
Okay. Somebody ask him that.
Okay, I think so. All he said was,
right.
and it ties together. All he said is he didn't know. Now, if somebody's saying they thought he was a doctor, as stupid as I think it is, and I told you that up front, I think it's stupid. I don't think it's an excuse, but it is a reason, and it's entirely plausible. And so I don't go into blasphemy and sacrilege and mocking and all this bullshit because you don't know, and you use your platform. You use your platform to do that. First of all, you know how Trump is. He's not going to receive correction, and I'm not defending that.
So since he doesn't receive correction, don't ever, and it doesn't say
no, brother.
in
All I'm
2
saying
Timothy
is
4,
no. Let's back up.
Correct, encourage, and rebuke only if they receive it. That's not the whole point.
Even Jesus, and we just talked about this a few days ago. Even Jesus in Matthew 18, when he's talking in the context of the church, Matthew 18, 15 to 20. Even Jesus says that there's a right way and there's a wrong way, and he elevates up front discretion. You isolate the conversation to you and your brother first before it's escalated. You know, and you can hear this from me.
She's not close
you
to
can
him
hear
that way,
you can
brother.
hear
She's
a
not close to
loathing.
him.
You can hear a loathing in me when I talk about social media because there is no discretion on social media. It is a smear sandbox and a lot of damage.
But she doesn't.
All I'm saying is with great
you can't
patience.
say Riley. What's her name? Riley Gaines partakes in that.
Riley
Does she
Gaines
not have any
has the
credibility?
ear. I believe that Riley Gaines has the ear of the president. I believe
How
to
do you
your
know
point.
that?
Well, you just said, I don't know.
Well, he invites a lot of people. I'm just saying he's there. He liked to. He was a fan of hers when he's there.
Exactly. So
okay, but that doesn't mean that he has her ear.
But brother,
Charlie
I'm
Kirk
sure
had
if
his
Riley
ear, but
Gaines
not
wanted
her.
to reach out to the president of the United States because they share forums. So if she wanted to reach out to the president because she's concerned about his soul, okay, this would be, Mr. President, I just want to say, look, this would be a great teaching moment. That Mike Johnson didn't come out and say, hey, what the is wrong with you? Stop mocking Jesus. He called up the president and said, Mr. President,
He's got relationships. He's got that relationship with him.
All I'm saying is if you're a believer, brother, if you're a believer, that matters a lot because the dignity of the individual matters. I don't give a shit whether you think other Christians think that it's important that you speak up. Whatever, man. It's not that important, really. What matters is Trump isn't saved, and he should be, and he's clueless, and he shouldn't be. And if somebody has his ear, that's your first objective. Not recruiting people on social media to show them how wonderful you are and how outraged you are for Jesus.
That's my point. I think that you're imposing a mens rea on her that you don't do on Trump, and I don't think that's right.
No. Tell me how.
I don't follow this lady. I just know she's been bold as shit. And
yes, she has.
She has a track record that
Yes,
should
sir.
be respected. And,
Yes, sir. And
in
I do.
stewardship, with much is given, much is to be expected.
Yes, sir.
That applies to everybody.
Yes,
if
sir.
she's thinking in this age of social media, it's horrible and it's a blessing. She may be thinking, if I don't speak out, I'm going to lose my credit. Everything that I've worked for God, for women, for the sports, for my platform, he's the one that put her in that spot. He put everyone in that spot.
Isn't a biblical standard. I'm sorry. The dignity of the individual let me just finish. The dignity of the individual matters the most. The most.
You just said he's not going to listen. So why would she call someone that's not going to listen?
May I finish? Mike
sure.
Johnson. No, wait. Whoa. Mike Johnson called him, had a conversation with him, and Trump.
Brother, he's the Speaker of the House.
Look, here's how. And you're really good at this. I'm surprised you're not doing it. You're very good at this, actually. I mean, you can do it on the spot. I can't, but I'll try. I mean, he literally call him up, and out of concern, because you respect him, And you know, Trump, and this isn't a lie. I think she's actually telling the truth, but he loves to be stroked. But I think she actually means it.
Who?
She would actually mean it because she respects his policies. She's spoken very favorably of the work that he's doing, especially with regard to, naked men in women's locker rooms. So to come in alongside him, and he knows that she's a person of credibility and she's a fighter, and he's actually spoken out about how much he loves that. But to set him to take him aside, brother, because you tongue lash this guy in any way, God is not be mocked. Wait, she just accused me of mocking God? What? If you're going to do that, it's never going to work. I know that. And so I'm saying if you have the slightest path, the dignity of that man and his soul, brother, you do this all the time when you talk about how people used to talk out against you when you're in politics and how grossly unfair they were. And then at the same time, you interject. You're like, but even now,
if they called me and asked about, the gospel and about a relationship with Jesus Christ, I would talk to them about it. Absolutely.
Right.
But that's not the same scenario.
But what I'm saying is that there's something about that effort to reach out and connect and be heard and exchange. There's a tenderizing moment there. That matters uber alles. Social media can go fuck itself, as far as I'm concerned. That is elevated. The soul of that man matters a lot. That's where I'm coming from.
I agree with his soul, but I think that
social media is not the place.
You're applying all these standards.
Social media is not the place.
Well, maybe
not
it is,
with
maybe
this,
it's not.
Not with this guy. Like, we don't know by now, brother?
He lives on social media.
Brother, I know.
There's a public picture, and there should be a public response. You say this all the time about pastors to be called out publicly when they say stupid shit publicly.
Brother, again.
Okay, so I mean.
I know, but brother, he's not a pastor.
I understand
to whom
he's
much
the
is
president.
given, much is...
He's more important than a pastor.
I know, brother, but he's not. But it's not an apples and oranges deal. You know that.
I'm just saying. You just seem like
it's always going to be a rabbit trail with this guy. You know that. That's
that's his fault. Not
and you and I are on
else's.
the same page. We go back and forth on the phone. I'm like sitting there hearing you vent, and I'm like, I agree. This is effing irritating. So if I'm going to correct this guy, that is not the way to do it. It's never going to work. He's never respond. I can't think of one example where he responded positively to that. He won't. He'll get down in the mud. He's a scrapper. He doesn't give a shit. He's back in the Bronx. It's in his blood. You can bitch all you want, but it's never going to change. Not like that. So I'm glad Mike Johnson called him and came out. Okay, a reasonable man came out and said he had no idea. He had no idea, and he took it down. And all I'm saying is,
he told him that he thought it was a Red Cross doctor. I'm sure.
Brother, we can find out about that. I don't honestly know. All I'm saying is the two tie together. Yeah. Trump didn't know. Now we can get upset about it, and the fact that Paula White.
We can get upset about it.
We just 5 feet away from him doesn't help.
I got it.
Especially when she's sitting there blowing sunshine up his ass about how, just like the Lord Jesus, you have suffered so much. Really? I didn't know Trump was crucified. And look, Trump has been through a lot of shit, but I would never think to equate him on any level to what the Lord Jesus went through for me and you. It is a moronic statement to make. That's the kind of pathetic counsel. And all I'm saying is let's leave a little wedge, a little compassion, a little wedge, okay, for what is a religious child. This is a religious little mensch. That's the way it is. He's doing a lot of amazing things on the policy front and as a president of the United States. He's the best we got. But he is a child.
It's going to be irrelevant in about 5 months.
I think it's already irrelevant.
No. I mean, his whole presidency is going to be irrelevant.
Well, I hope not.
Jorge, you're too intelligent to say he wasn't being sacrilegious.
I never said
Trump
that.
knows exactly what he's doing before doing things this way.
I never said he wasn't sacrilegious. I said he wasn't blasphemous.
What would an apology accomplish? From Trump, Manuel?
Maybe not. An apology from whom, though? Oh, from Trump?
From Trump, Manuel. I know
if it was real.
He listens on a regular basis. Thank you for following. Michael, is Spurs Jesus sacrilegious? Great question. What do you think, George?
I don't know anything about Spurs Jesus. I'm clueless.
You never heard of this guy?
No.
The guy goes to Spurs games dressed as Jesus.
No, man, I'm clueless. Don't know.
Okay, a guy goes to the Spurs games dressed as Jesus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's... Why? I mean, what?
Who cares? Yeah.
Does he do anything? Like, does he do anything in the slightest bit Christian, or does he just
waves at people on?
And he just dresses up as Jesus.
Dresses up as Jesus and watches the games from courtside.
Okay. Does he do anything else? Does he talk to people? Does people ask? Have people asked him why he does that? Look, I told you I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm wondering. Is he an evangelist? Is he a Christian? Does he do anything with that?
No.
So he just does that for the hell of it.
Yeah, he's not disrespectful about it. He's just dressed up like Jesus.
Yeah, I I need to know. I mean,
I'm telling you. I'm telling you what it is. I mean, I want to tell you. There's nothing more to it. He dresses like Jesus at the Spurs
the
games.
definition of sacrilege, and this is why I disagree with. Of course, I said this. It's a misuse of, right. So do I think Trump? If definitely not blasphemy. Do I see him as that act as being sacrilegious? Much closer to sacrilege. Do I think he intended? No, I don't think there's any intent there. I don't know what this guy's what he's doing at the Spurs. I'd love to know. I'd love to ask him. I don't know what that's about. It's just weird. It just depends. Intent matters a lot. In case you can't tell in the way I'm phrasing these answers, it does matter. And the way the New Testament presents it, it's pretty clear. Intent matters. Okay, I mean, it looks like and he doesn't do anything. I mean, it looks like he's praying. So I don't know.
He walks around dressed like that. He walks around. He watches the games like that.
And he doesn't talk. And he doesn't. He doesn't
talk
about his faith. He's not a Christian at all.
Talking about his faith.
He's not a Christian.
I don't know if he is or not. He's not for sure. Can you find this one? Can you find this?
What?
Can you find
what does he say? What does he say?
He says he wants to represent Jesus well. He says.
Interesting.
If people come to him,
okay,
he doesn't want to misrepresent Jesus' character.
Okay.
So he doesn't behave in any way. He doesn't.
Yeah, in that case, I'd be really slow to call it sacrilege. Otherwise, I'm Jim Caviezel sacrilegious. I mean, it's a ritual in our society, right, to do dramatizations. So, I mean, the whole thing could be sacrilegious if you think about it, because he's missing. I mean, it's just crazy. We got to be careful. This man is not trying to mock Christ in any way. I think that matters.
Do you think that you're judging him as an ignorant president, and Nico's judging him as a devout Christian?
He's not. I would never.
No, Nico doesn't think that.
I'm not saying.
No.
You're judging him like that. That he should know better as a mature
I'm judging him as someone that should have some common sense, because a shit ton of Christians voted you into office. And if you're out there defending Christianity, then do some homework.
So
What
he
dumbass? What?
So he offended Christians, not Christ.
Look, I'm not going to speak for Christ. I think this is disrespectful. Look to Jesus, which ultimately to me, I think it's disrespectful.
Okay,
And whether it's intentional or not, look, how about the people that make fun of special needs kids, and they're not intending to be mean to hurt their feelings, and they're just doing it as whatever the reasons for. That's disrespectful to me. I think this is disrespectful, and I think if this was anybody else, I think George and other people would be upset with it.
And so far, I mean, we said this in the first 5 minutes, Salo, and I don't disagree. I don't disagree that this is disrespectful. My whole thing has been around people acting like Trump was trying to associate himself with God. I don't buy it. I don't think he was trying to mock. I mean, the man truly is.
What do you think he was trying to do here?
That's what I'm telling you. You're judging him as an ignorant president.
I believe on religious matters.
What was the goal? What do you think the goal was?
He explained what he explained. He elaborated beyond the doctor shit. He elaborated on that.
No, I heard it. It wasn't much more.
No, I think it was. I thought it was substantive. He said,
Like what?
Let me say what he said.
Please.
He says, as a doctor, I'm treating the sick, and there's a lot, and I've done a lot to do that in this country. Because that's how he sees himself. Trump sees himself politically. I see it that way too. Politically, I've said many, many times, Trump's policies. Yes, that's right. Trump's policies, in many ways, have saved the United States of America. His role at this time and in this age.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, so
but
Trump,
all that's going to end in November. But go ahead.
Brother, why do you say that?
Because shit like this doesn't help. No. When you lose the church, and when you can't control yourself and allow yourself to get in a back and forth, and I agree, the Pope wants to wade into politics. Go ahead, but the way he handles it, there's no wisdom in that. There's no wisdom.
You went to the midterms. If it was today, and I've said it, if it was today, I think we'd lose the House.
Okay.
We wouldn't lose the Senate, but I think we'd lose the House. And then there you have it. And I think it's inexcusable. But I've also said it's not Trump's fault. And I've told you why we would lose the House. Okay? Because the world isn't Trump.
I agree with that.
And you know that. And so if we're going to, and we'll save that for sidebar. But
there it is. So this was his other tweet after that, or whatever the hell you do, these truth socials. I was never a religious man. But doesn't it seem, with all these satanic, demonic, child-sacrificing monsters being exposed, that none of them has been indicted and none of them have gone to prison.
Yeah,
by the way.
right. Exactly.
How convenient.
Exactly.
How convenient that God might be playing his trump card.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here. I mean, he's
whoa.
What do you mean? Whoa. Tell me one of these child sacrifice monsters that have been prosecuted. I'll wait. Go.
Ooh.
Give me one.
No, he's asking. He said,
give me one. All these satanic, demonic child are being exposed. How are they being exposed? Give me one that's been exposed.
I got it, but that's not
What-
where it
this
ends. I got it. That doesn't that doesn't erase the rest of what he said. I'm not disagreeing with that. I was going to go to the last part. What?
God's playing his trump card.
So if Biden was there,
And if Biden was fighting for biblical principles,
now what I'm saying is, biblically, was Biden in the White House because God was okay with it?
of course, he's
Okay,
sovereign.
all right, fine. So that's right. God used Biden and used Biden to do, well, to bring about really good, because thank God, and you even said it, if Trump, I'm glad that we had this kind of gap in there because people realize, holy crap, we got to go in a very different direction. So God used that to get Trump back into the White House. Do I believe that Trump is in the White House because of God like I did Biden? I do. Do I believe that Trump is being a better steward of the White House than Biden was? Of course I do. And so do I believe that Christianity is advancing in this country in ways it never did under Biden? I do, and I'm grateful for that. Do I believe that the freedom of conscience and freedom of speech in favor of your religious convictions in society is much more protected under a Trump White House than Biden? Of course I do. Am I infinitely more grateful for that? Of course I am. And so at the end of the day, I can go example after example after example after example. And so is God playing his trump card? I think he's doing it more than way than one. He's doing it sovereignly because no leader is where they are apart from God's blessing. And he's doing it practically because Trump's policies are advancing good things for moral people. And that's whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Your boat will float nice and high because the policies help human beings. So I don't think he's off on the end there. And I think what he's trying to say is, I believe I'm a tool in God's hands.
He's a tool,
I'm not,
for
that
sure.
doesn't make me Jesus.
I don't disagree with that, but look, but here's the deal. What irritates me, to me, I'm gonna be, look, you know me. I don't even like when people say God bless. So that's the dude that you're talking to.
I know
here.
you don't
When
like
people-
that.
No. It's not about
it-
being triggered. I
'cause
don't
it's
get triggered.
feels
But there's things that you put your foot
Yeah,
down on.
yeah.
And I wouldn't have made. I'm not making the reason why we're talking about this is because people can't
Yeah.
humble themselves and just say, I didn't intend it
I don't
that
like
way.
that either.
Guess,
God bless,
guess
yeah.
what? All this shit's over. All this shit's over. It's like, you know what? I'm grateful for Mike Johnson. I'm early in my faith. I didn't intend it that way. What about Iran? That's it. This is over. This is over. It's because of the haughtiness of this guy.
He is not a humble man, and he's haughty as shit.
Okay, well, that's my point.
Yes, I know.
And nobody can talk about it. Nobody, because of Trump, because of his personality, and we know it's not going to work. So what?
I wanna know-
God doesn't do that. God doesn't, well, it's not going to work on this person. We still try.
I never said that.
No, but George, you're criticizing Riley, whatever her name is, and because it's not the right platform. And not that I disagree with you 100%
I'm just
on that.
trying to say, use it wisely.
All I'm saying- well-
I want to know what is the objective. If the objective,
Why don't you send it to him,
Brother,
What's his objective?
I-
So that's all I'm saying. I'm an equal opportunity offender. If I do my best, I'm not perfect.
You have
So look at
empl-
things.
you have employees.
Well, give me your
I wanna
example in a
use that
second.
analogy.
Don't forget your thought.
Okay.
All I'm saying is this: I believe with all my spirit, and I said this to you the other day,
Mm-hmm.
that he has squandered God's grace, and that irritates the shit out of me because I do believe God used Trump. I do believe him, just like he used in the Book of Judges. He used a lot of non-saved people to do some crazy things because Israelites they repent, we're so sorry, and then they go back to the same shit. And 12 judges over and over again, and they were flawed individuals. So none of this bothers me that God used a very, very, very flawed man.
Well, I readily accept that criticism,
And so all I'm saying
knowing
is,
from where
by
I
God's
sit.
grace, and that's why you did hear me correctly when I said
I did.
the Biden in the middle. That's the only way Trump was received so well is because people saw this sucks. And Trump
Yes.
wasn't that bad. And the principles, they got over the personality and they looked at the principles and the policies that Biden did and Trump did and which one was more biblical or not. But a lot of Christians and Catholics rallied around Trump.
Yes.
A lot of them.
Yes.
And all I'm saying is you need to be more humble. And just because we
Yes.
say he's not humble, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't demand humility. We should.
Okay.
We should expect humility. And all I'm saying is this. And if I was in that room, I would have told him, Mr. President, just say that wasn't my intent. I appreciate the Christian and the Catholic support that I got. And he always has to say this, to win by a landslide. He say all the shit you want to say. Be Trump. Say all that stuff. And that wasn't my intent. And that's why I took it down. Next question, please. This is over. It doesn't go viral. Iran is not making memes of Jesus come behind Trump and slapping the shit out of him, sending him to hell. Iran's making stuff and people are laughing at Iran doing that. Holy crap. I wouldn't laugh at anything Iran does. I think they're evil. All that to say is it's frustrating because he squandered God's grace. Squandering
I don't-
God's grace.
I don't-
And that's frustrating. As a Christian that once the
Valid.
ethos and the principles of a biblically minded government, because I think it should be, not that you have to be forced to accept Christ, but there's biblical principles that bless people, and I can debate
Amen.
that and defend that till the cows come home.
Yes.
But we're not going to do that right now. All I'm saying is that's what's frustrating to me.
Yes.
That's what's frustrating me.
I can't disagree. And as someone who is pretty good at
Because
squandering,
where was the Pope, the last one or this one, when the Catholic was prosecuted for praying on the other side of the street at an abortion clinic?
Yeah.
Prosecuted. The Biden government tried to send that man to prison and separate him from his children. Where was the papacy? Where was that? I don't think it was this guy. It was the previous one. But where was the papacy then? I'm all for that. But how you do things.
that's an excellent question. The 3 bishops that were on 60 Minutes in the last few days going after Trump for illegal immigration is tacked down on illegal immigration. And not just that, but also on Iranian policy. I'd like to know where those bishops were when all this stuff was going on. This can go on and on and on.
Someone sent me a video of Wu Chu Wu, whatever his name is, some Asian Democrat, reading Galatians 3 and talking about Trump apologizing to Christians.
Whatever.
Hey, how many times do you apologize to Christians for your abortion and your marriage definitions and your transgender movement? You gonna apologize to Christians for that, asshole? No. So the hypocrisy is off the charts, and I agree with calling that out. Put that back up, please. But this is not the fight you won. J.D. Vance is this is the Pope's not going to lose this PR war. I'm telling you right now, he's not.
Actually, that is a misquote.
That's fine.
No, hold on a second. This matters, though. I mean, what he said was legit. His entire statement was totally correct. The Pope came out, and we talked about this last week.
Hold on. What's not legit?
He said theology. Okay. The point is, the Pope came out and kind of, sort of couched his criticism of Trump against Iran in theological terms, that our prayers are going to hit the ceiling. That's shitty theology. And then he's been dropping crap about illegal immigration for a while. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen the guy's ex-post before he became the Pope on illegal immigration. That's his pet issue. Totally inconsistent with Catholic theology.
Well, I mean, let's see. How many of them are in the Vatican?
Go to the Catechism of the Catholic Church. I think it's paragraph 2241. Okay, and read what that says about what prosperous nations can and should do with regard to letting foreigners in, and how they should never do that unless the entire good of the nation is considered, and that there ought to be limitations on the foreigner when they come in. Okay, not just to respect one's laws, but to not be presumptuous and impose upon the citizenry. I'm sorry, I don't hear any of that coming from this man.
Legitimate
This
criticism.
man has no moral credibility, and somebody ought to sit him down and actually teach him the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Hey, you know what? My line's open. Maybe I'll share my number. I'll go through every single one of 2,575 paragraphs. In the meantime, his criticism that he's couching this bullshit in theology is legit. Because he acts
brother,
like he's talking theologically, and it's totally contradictory to his own
theology. I'm not
theology.
saying he shouldn't do. I'm just saying this. He's going to lose the PR war.
He's a Catholic.
But I know he is.
Okay.
I'm just saying. But Trump started this off wrong.
I don't.
Now we're talking strategy.
Let me insert
not theology.
Let's see what happens here. Maybe you're right, but I think that because this guy hasn't let up, because he's got a beef with the Trump administration, and because he had a beef before he
He's
became
riding
the Pope.
wave. He's not stupid. Someone's advising him. He should ride the wave, Pope.
Okay, he's going to lose, and he's losing now.
All right.
And,
I don't know if he's losing.
And here's the problem: Trump came out
he's
swinging, which he shouldn't. And what was missing was a week's worth during the entire Holy Week, and then capping off on his Easter message, where he's repeatedly digging at Trump. And then Trump finally had it, comes out, and bleh, diarrhea of the mouth. And so that's all people saw. It's just Trump being mean again. But the reality is, this guy was, he was on him. This is not a credible person. I didn't like his.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I didn't like his predecessor.
I'm not
I like this
disagreeing
guy
with
even less, because his predecessor was at least more subtle. Okay, this guy's chomping for a fight, and he's going to get one. So let me get back to this, to Colossians chapter 4, if I may share it with you, because this would be my thoughts, and this is why social media is not our friend.
Colossians 4 what?
Colossians chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. Pray that I may proclaim it clearly as I should. Now, who's he talking about? Well, he says, be wise in the way you act toward outsiders. This is anybody who's not in the faith. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation always be full of grace. Grace isn't warmth, isn't gratis, and you know this, is not just warmth. It's not just I'm going to die, I'm going to go to heaven. It's not just God's unmerited favor. It's not a squishy grace. Grace, fundamentally, gratis means empowerment. In the context, set someone up for success, for goodness sakes. He says, let your conversation always be full of grace, seasoned with salt. Now, why is that? And you've talked a lot about this, right? In context of Matthew 5, 13 and 14, this idea of preserving what?
Yeah, the truth.
Preserving the integrity of the faith, preserving what is true, right? And he says, so that you may know how to answer everyone. What I'm suggesting, and this is a fan of Riley Gaines. I'm a fan of Riley Gaines. I think her approach to Trump was destined for failure. And when she said, God will not be mocked, that was an indictment of his character. That is unacceptable. It was an indignified thing to do. I know it was well-intended, but I think she was playing to her audience. You don't do that because I know you. I don't know her. And all I'm aside from the trans cult fight that she is a morally legitimate fight, all I'm saying, Nico, is I don't think that was wise. It certainly wasn't in the spirit of this. You always drive the notion that you gotta step back, know your audience. Don't go into audience A the way you would go into audience B. Have a little common sense and sensitivity. Trump is a very different audience than some dipshit pastor who ought to know better. He's not the Pope, who definitely should know better. This man is a religious child. He's petulant. I don't like it, but he is. And all you have to do is go back from the time those assassination attempts and look at his vacillating statements on God. It's like Nico and I would be like, we can't keep up. Do you think he might actually be at the foot of the cross? And then he says something that's completely crazy. And I'm like, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
It's like, you know what? I gave up. After a while, I just recognized that this is not a person who appreciates the gospel. He appreciates singularly the cultural benefit of Christianity as a force for preserving good in America.
He sees everything you just said right there.
He sees it aligned with his political goals. And so he fights for it. I would agree. So you always say, you know what, we'll take it.
Yeah.
And so I think that we got to be careful as Christians who know better, that we don't inadvertently, in our objective to defend Christ, which I share, that we don't objectively impose upon Trump something he can't possibly deliver, and that on the evidence he wasn't trying to do here.
So do we not impose, do we not defend against the atheist, the agnostic, the Islamic, whoever else is criticizing Christianity or being sacrilegious to Christianity?
Well,
because we don't think they're going to be
no.
corrected?
Remember the definition. It is I'm
not saying I didn't say blasphemy. I said because if someone's being blasphemous, that's different. I don't think
let me give you an
intending
can I give you an
to piss
example
off and to be disrespectful.
Make sure I'm testing my understanding here. Salo, I think the chair or the head of the New Atheist Foundation, maybe it's I don't know if it's the Freedom from Religion. Is it Mike? I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Mike Sherman. I don't think that's correct. The guy's a mocker. You know, Sam Harris. He's a mocker. He is deliberately there to condescend. Is it Phil deGrasse Tyson?
Mm-hmm. He's a mocker.
He's a mocker. So, yeah, that's a very different thing. He's deliberately trying to slander and mock and debase and condescend. That's not Trump. And so I'm going to approach that very differently. They make very developed, patently, objectively false statements. So I'm going to attack those, right? Speak the truth in love.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to indignify him.
Using a different definition. What's the definition of mock? Give me the definition of mock. And if she's wrong, well then she's just wrong. She means something else besides mock. But I'm not going to overly criticize her because she's his.
With ridicule or contempt.
Right.
Ridicule.
So
you're saying Trump's not trying to ridicule.
Right.
I think. Look,
But
this is my assessment.
Can I say it real quick? Remember blasphemy? I put contempt at the end. There's a contemptuous motivation.
And that's intentionally and knowingly.
That's all I'm saying.
I got that.
That's very different than Sam Harris.
Do I
Phil
think
deGrasse
Trump
Tyson.
was trying to mock Christianity? I don't.
Okay.
I don't believe he was trying to do that.
Yeah.
I think this is more of a statement of what he thinks of himself, and he's being disrespectful in equating him to a messianic figure.
Well, let me agree with you. I think and I hope I was clear before. I may not have been because I was, very passionate. But I do believe that Trump sees himself, and I hate to use this, but as a deliverer. I don't like to use the word messianic because that is decidedly and necessarily.
I said the way he looks at himself.
Yeah, as a deliverer. I believe.
Would you use Christ-like?
No, I don't, because that has a very particular salvific.
But if he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, then he's gonna
go back and forth between camps, and you and I are like, whoa. But I think he does see himself as a deliverer of America from the precipice. He's talked in those terms. He's actually said, hey, if I wasn't here, they'd be coming after you. And he's not wrong. The whole time he was saying
don't
it.
disagree
The whole
with him.
time we were saying, he's like,
and,
he's
and,
right.
and an overwhelming amount of people believed him.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying he is squandering God's grace.
Yeah.
Squandering it. And I just think that's it's irritating to see because of everything that happened for him to win in the way he won and the coalition that was built. And his haughtiness has almost single-handedly decimated that coalition.
Yeah. I'm on the fence about that.
I know you
but
are.
I
I
share,
get it, but I mean, I just don't-
share your worry.
I don't know what you are very much more optimistic. I'm not saying you're not a realist also, but I can read the room and I see where this is going. And as you said, if things happen today, forget about
here's
it.
my concern.
So
I'm not
nothing's
seeing,
changing. This ain't helping.
we're seeing slippage.
Slippage.
Yes, I mean it's because you just said it's not decimated. By the way, it's not decimated. I mean that's a terrible. It actually doesn't mean that. We use the word decimate
know.
totally inaccurately, but I get your point. All I'm saying is we don't have any polling evidence right now that the sort of cross demographic camp coalition that supported Trump in 2024 has left the man to the point where or the GOP to the point where we'd lose the elections. I'm not seeing anything that suggests we're losing the Senate. In fact, I think we're fine. But right now, because we have such a paper-thin edge, to your point, we can't take anything for granted right now. And this is a distraction. And it is. I agree. It is a distraction. I'm not happy about it. I thought it was stupid. But I don't want people to panic. I worry about panic. But sometimes if we've lost the battle, if we've lost it all, then we've lost it all. I don't think we've lost it all, and I don't want in my frustration to overstate the situation.
Panic means that you're I think of Airplane One, right? Where they just the breasts are flying everywhere.
Yeah.
People are putting makeup everywhere.
Snakes on a plane and
all that shit. I'm not talking about that's panic where you're doing stuff without any objective or goal because you're not poised. I'm not talking, but there needs to be a sense of urgency. Absolutely, a ringing the bell, a heralding of someone that's on the wall yelling out, "They're coming! We're heading down. The tsunami's coming."
Yeah,
someone needs to yell something, and I think calling this out is appropriate. I do, and that's where, and respectfully, we're just gonna have to disagree on that. I understand your position, and I agree with a lot of it. I do, but I just think this is all Trump's fault. Period. End of story. And I refuse. I will appropriately say, "Hey, Riley, you maybe used a different word, mock, but I'm not gonna blame everybody else and because you're not gonna get to Trump and no one knows this. I'm just not gonna I'm not saying you're trying to do that, but I think that we need to call out and say we demand better. We need to do better because I don't know how many red hats you see out there these days and how many people are doing the Trump dance. But if that's not writing on the wall that as you're concerned about, that I think I see very clearly. That if you think that if Trump's out of office and the other side gets back in, that Christian ethos and Christian principles are going to be under full-fledged attack, despite Wu or whatever the hell his name is, citing Galatians when it's convenient. The hypocrisy is off the charts to me, and so I'll call it all out. I just want to be. I'm going to stand for Jesus Christ. Let everything else be damned. I'm going to stand for Jesus Christ because he hung for me. And that's it. I'm going to do it imperfectly because I'm wrapped in flesh. I'm going to do it genuinely, authentically, and as best I can consistently because I'm human.
Yeah.
That's it. And I don't give a shit. It applies to this bozo and it applies to the many bozos on the other side. Because you talk about head bozo, weekend at Bernie Biden, it was the head bozo. I mean, the guy's shaking the air and all kinds of stupid shit, crapping his pants, falling off of bikes, whatever. I mean, I can go on and on about that idiot. And so all I'm saying is, and then the Pope is another one. So I told you I was going to offend everybody. Because all I care about is how is right standing.
I don't remember the crapping his pants, but that's entirely plausible.
They all stink.
He had
all
that
of
look.
them. Trump stinks. They all stink. Everybody says they're making faces. Who cares? All I'm saying is I think that the criticism of the criticism for most people, not all, most people, because there's everyday voters, 2- and 3-time Trump voters, and first-time Trump voters that have an affinity for Lord Jesus Christ, and that their natural inclination was to be offended. I'm not going to dismiss that. Now you can correct them, but to dismiss it. Or to unintentionally be condescending, I'm not going to do it because I think it's legit. Because I was pissed. I was pissed about this for a lot of reasons, and a lot of them were strategic.
Yes.
And I get that, and you're right by saying that. I was because I I'm a trial lawyer, man.
Yes, of course.
Doesn't matter how good my closing argument is. Doesn't matter how good my cross-examination is. Doesn't matter how I presented the evidence. If I don't get that verdict, it doesn't matter. And to me, there's two verdicts. There's a verdict of the soul. There's somebody says yes to Jesus Christ and heaven rejoices. And that's what we're supposed to do, to spread the gospel, going to all nations, making disciples, not of just certain men, women, all people, teaching them to obey.
Yes.
Teaching them to obey. And I'm not going to crawl on my knees or pussyfoot around because it's President Trump. Teaching them to obey. And if that means rebuke, rebuke. If that means correct, encourage, 2 Timothy 4, I'm going to do it imperfectly, but genuinely. That's it. And I'm just irritated. I'm so irritated, brother. And you know I am. I'm irritated because what an opportunity the church had. All these people drawn. And Charlie was doing great work, and he's no longer with us. I know he's with the Lord. But that could have been passed on. Don't even get me started about his wife. But I mean, so just this. I'm just irritated, brother, and I should be. I have a righteous frustration because we had such an opportunity. I couldn't tell you how encouraged I was when in early last year, 25, and as it was going, and the coalition and the tent was wide, and the church was being elevated and protected. To your point, for the first time, because to me, it's about the Church of Jesus Christ first.
Yeah. It is.
And that's it, man. And that's it. And don't criticize me. You can go piss off. Because the Islamic person they don't give a shit about anything but Muhammad and Allah and the Sharia and the Quran and the Hadith. So go piss on yourself. And then the Hindus and the Buddhists, everybody cares about what their worldview.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm going to care about the Christian worldview. Yeah. I can actually defend that I believe Christian ideology blesses the vast majority of people. They don't have to accept Christ as their Savior. They have to deal with that once they call off this earth. But it'll bless. What's wrong?
It's interesting that you're ending the show, total alignment with Trump, because that's exactly what he would say. That's exactly what he would
Bullshit,
say.
He wouldn't say that.
No, okay, not in Nico's words, but I mean, I just said he believes that. I mean, he said it in speeches. I know somebody wrote it for him, but I mean, he believes in his policies. He believes what you just said.
I agree. He's a cultural Christian. I got it. I agree. But I mean it. I don't. It happens to be beneficial to the culture. I believe it because I believe Jesus Christ is Messiah.
Well, it's not accidentally beneficial. It's deliberately so. He's crafted policy that deliberately. It doesn't accidentally help you and me. It's deliberately set up to help the voice of the Christian in society, and so we can have public discourse without government reprisal. I mean, and he fights for that. And if you want, we can dedicate a show to that. It is truly. But
he doesn't. He doesn't fight for that. He only fights for that when it's convenient for him. Because if he fought for that, he wouldn't try to cancel people when they do and try to destroy their show and and cut everyone off and say he's not a fan and not do this. So he doesn't truly believe that, because he should just defend himself and let the chips fall where they may. So I've changed my opinion about him on that, because when he goes after Kelly McElhaney and all these people, just the thought of somebody disagreeing with him, God forbid you disagree with Messiah Donnie. I mean, then he goes after you. Bullshit. No, he does not. He fights for that because it benefits him. Yeah, he's very much an opportunist.
I wasn't suggesting that he understands.
Look, I've never gone after Trump like this before. Not this publicly, but I feel that strong about it. And guess what? I still support his policies. Okay. That's it. You're not going to get me away from that, because it's about the policy, not the personality. Okay. But I'm going to criticize the personality based off my genuine understanding of a biblical analysis. So
fair enough.
You know, what are you going to do?
Well
Anything
said.
Else? Good. We're done. All right, guys. There you go. We're done. We're friends. Nobody's mad at each other. That's how we do it over here on this side of the pond.
Like every day.
They don't even know how we do it when we're not on the air. We go at each other.
Well, it was just like
iron sharpening iron, man.
It was another conversation.
Yeah, that's how we do it every day. All right, guys. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Pray for our president, please. Pray for our country. Pray for our Democrats and Republicans. Just pray for this country and the world, of course. But truly pray for Psalm 33 says, "Blessed is the nation,
Amen,
whose God is the Lord, Yahweh." That's
Amen.
it. Not the generic God. It's Yahweh,
right.
The God of the Bible. Blessed is a nation who does that. And so we should pray, and we've seen favor in this nation over its 250 years. And ironically, we're going to celebrate 250 years of the same Constitution. And as much as they've tried to destroy with the administrative state, and we can talk about that on another show, the principles and the undergirding of that incredible document called the Constitution has an ethos, has a principle base, a foundation, and it's Christian. Whether you like it or not, you don't have to like it. It's a fact. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be Christian. I understand the Establishment Clause, and we'll talk about the other letter from Thomas Jefferson at another time. We've talked about it many times before. but that's it. So I pray for that, and I pray for that because in this country you have a right to say no to Jesus.
Amen.
And you have a right to live the life
do.
you want to, as long as you're living your life doesn't interfere with somebody else's. You can't do that in other countries. You're not going to do that in an Islamic country. So all the LGBT advocates over here, you're going to be criticized probably. You'll be prayed for sure if someone's genuine, and you should be befriended if it's a real Christian, and disagree with you but still befriend you and love on you. In another country, not so. Not so. So just FYI.
So you have freedom to ridicule Jesus, ironically,
freedom.
because of the freedoms that Jesus fought to preserve. That's
Amen.
kind of how that works.
That's how it
And if
works.
you are
And
Catholic,
we've
Nico just
adopted that.
reminded me, this might be a good time to write to the Vatican and ask the Pope Leo XIV, to reconsider his rejection of the invitation from the Trump White House, I think led by J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, to attend the 250th celebration. They turned down the invitation
That's
because
ridiculous. That's so
because
ridiculous.
of foreign policy disagreements. So anyway, this might be a good time as a Catholic maybe to write and say, please
But as
reconsider.
he goes to Islamic countries
I know.
and has no problem with the way they've treated Christians and women, he has no problem doing that. See, that the hypocrisy is off the charts.
Yeah.
So I'm no fan of this.
And he's an American. I mean,
I don't give a shit. But,
I'm just
whatever.
saying. I mean, you know.
All right, guys.
think he'd
we'll
say
stop.
yes?
We're going to start another show if we don't watch it. God bless you guys. Share this with someone you think may benefit from it. See you next week. Bye-bye.